You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
He is the incredible Huck, Will Huckabee. Huck, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Please excuse me if I sound kind of wonky tonight. It's starting to become that season in North Carolina and stuff, man, where it's getting dry and, the pollen and allergens and stuff are starting to kick in. So my allergies have really been doing a number on me the last couple of days. But I'm here, ready to do the show, man. I feel like we got a really big one going on tonight.
Yes, we do. Very much looking forward to it. How was your weekend this past weekend?
My weekend was really, really good. You know what I'm saying? Did some seminars, did some tryout matches, got some really great feedback. Was told by a former WWE tag team champion, current former coach, agent, et cetera, that he really liked, my gimmick and my work and my promos and everything. But got some tips on how I can get better. So even though I didn't succeed in my mission, I did learn, which is always the best thing. Sometimes even when you lose, you still win. And this weekend was one of those situations where even though I didn't quote unquote win, I still gained some knowledge and won that way. So people, you'll be seeing a new and improved, better Will Huckabee.
Well, that sounds awesome. Are you ready for the 3 count?
Totally ready. Let's do it.
All right, let's get out those big green circles. Let's throw on our leather jackets. Get ready for the 3 count. Count 1. NXT San Antonio and Royal Rumble took place this weekend. Will, what was your favorite event out of those two?
Really, my favorite was the NXT show. The entire NXT show, and Ty Dillinger, the Perfect 10, coming out at number 10. 2 favorite moments of this past weekend as far as NXT Royal Rumble.
Well, so what was your favorite match out of those 2 nights?
Actually, my favorite match, just because of the brutality and the story and the people that were in it, was it was a tie. It was DIY versus the Authors of Pain, and of course Nakamura versus Bobby Roode. Like I said last week, man, I love the Authors of Pain. To me, they remind me of a throwback to back in the 80s and 90s when tag teams were big and Bruiser, Lee, and these guys are just, they got Paul Ellering with them, who is a great manager, and in my opinion is a great mentor for these 2 guys and stuff. And of course, I love Gargano and Ciampa. I've seen them on the indies countless times, worked with them on numerous shows. These guys are so crisp, so clean, deserve everything that they worked so hard for. But then, you got the main event, Nakamura versus Bobby Roode. And one of the things that I didn't know until this past weekend, which really impressed me, is the fact that Nakamura is 36, which is my age, and Bobby Roode is 40. And these guys are killing it, and are so fluid, so sharp, so crisp. You would never think that they were in their mid-30s, early 40s and stuff, man, just able to do the things that they're doing and stuff and tell a story the way they're able to tell it.
Well, yeah, I would agree with that. My favorite match was another couple older guys. John Cena versus AJ Styles. I thought that was the match of the weekend. I don't know. I seriously thought it was better than the Okada and Omega match. So far it's my match of the year. And that was 39-year-old John Cena, and I'm trying to find AJ's age right now. Take me just 1 second. He's 39 also. So another couple older guys that really tore it up over the weekend. I thought that was the match of the year so far, and I know we're still in January, but I thought that was the match of the weekend. What did you think of it?
I liked that match, and that was, of course, for me myself, I wasn't shocked by the match, because I've always felt like John Cena can work. Of course, which is the reason why he's been the face of WWE for 10 plus years, because when it comes to big time matches, this guy is this generation's Shawn Michaels. Like, when you need a match out of somebody and you need a guaranteed winner, you put John Cena in that main event. He never fails to deliver. Whether, people, and I think the reason why a lot of people don't like John Cena is because of the way He doesn't have, great body control like an AJ Styles or a Kenny Omega or an Okada, but the guy is technically sound and he's very athletic. He has great matches. This guy is a great wrestler. And because of his appeal to kids and women and his 5 moves of death, people really overlook the fact that John Cena can go in the ring. So even though that match was really, really good, myself personally, I don't think that it was better than Okada versus Omega. But it can definitely be in the running. If the Okada Omega match had never happened, that would definitely be a contender for match of the year. But as far as Nakamura, Bobby Roode, I'm a way bigger Bobby Roode fan, so.
Well, and they told a great match. I actually was disappointed in the ending to it, with Nakamura selling the knee so much. I didn't think that needed to happen. Who knows where they're going to go with this? Obviously, I don't think Nakamura is going to get called up to the main roster yet. I think that they're going to play that out at least until WrestleMania. Maybe Nakamura will come up the day after WrestleMania. But I just wasn't impressed with the ending to that. What did you think of the ending with him selling the knee so much?
I think that he oversold it a little too much, but it was better than him underselling. My only complaint with the Nakamura Bobby Roode match was that I feel like they tried to blend too many styles at once, if that makes sense. Like you definitely seen influences of the New Japan style with Nakamura and stuff, but it was like Nakamura Light, which is still better than the majority of the fucking roster. Like Nakamura Light is still better than 90% of the NXT roster. I just feel like as far as now that you mentioned the knee and stuff, yeah, he might have oversold it a little bit, but I'd much rather him oversell the move than him underselling it and making Bobby Roode's offense look, not as effective as we all know it is.
Yeah, I would have personally preferred just having a little bit of more of a decisive victory for Bobby Roode without having to take shortcuts. I don't know. It was a great match. It wasn't my favorite out of the whole weekend. But we'll talk a little more about Royal Rumble on this recount.
Okay, go ahead. What's number 2?
Number 2 is the Broken Matt Hardy and Brother Nero are on their worldwide tour of taking tag team championships. Currently, they are the Crash Tag Team Champions, which I believe that is Conan's promotion in Mexico. They recently picked up the Maryland Championship Wrestling Tag Team Championship. They're also obviously the Omega Tag Team Champions and the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions. So currently they are holding at least 4 different tag team championships. I know they're going to be doing a show near you where they'll probably win the tag team championship from there. What do you think of the Hardy Boys Worldwide Tag Team Championship Tour right now?
I love it, man. I love anything that involves the Hardys, especially Broken Matt right now. It's so original, so original, so fun to not only to see, but to be a part of, from what I've heard from a lot of the boys. You're right. He will be, I want to say this week coming up, he will be in Gibsonville, North Carolina at CWF Mid-Atlantic. They will be actually competing to win the CWF, tag team champions and stuff, or tag team titles. I love it, man. It brings, exposure to a lot of the indie companies, a lot of the indie wrestlers and stuff that they have to work with and stuff. It gives those guys, that moment to work with the Hardy Boys, which, if you are anywhere around our age and stuff, you've watched the Hardy Boys since, you were in your early teens. It's probably one of the most original ideas in professional wrestling right now. And I can't see any other 2 guys pulling this off better than Matt and Jeff Hardy right now. Like, it's just great, man. Like, I'm telling you right now, like, the Final Deletion match and the Tag Team Apocalypto are, without a shadow of a doubt, my two favorite matches in professional wrestling history. You can keep your Flair and Steamboat, you can keep your Steamboat and Savage, your Hogan and Andre, your Cena versus CM Punk. You can keep whatever match you want to. You can keep your Omega versus Okada. Nothing's better than the Final Deletion. Nothing's better than Tag Team Apocalypto. Period. Matt Hardy can do no wrong in my book right now.
Now, my question is, though, once they're done with this run, are they going to go back to each of these promotions and drop the belts? Or do you think that they'll just mail the belts back to the promotions?
No, I definitely think that they'll go back and they'll actually, drop the belt back. I've never heard of a case where Matt and Jeff Hardy didn't do business. I mean, Jesus Christ, look at what Matt Hardy actually worked with Edge after the whole, Edge leader Matt Hardy fiasco and stuff. They actually were able to work together to draw money and turn a negative into positive. And even though those matches were very rough and very physical, they still kept it professional. If he can work with these guys, if he can work with somebody who just stole his girlfriend, who was supposed to be his best friend, and slept with his girlfriend while he was at home recovering, I don't see him doing bad business on the indies. I don't see them going to all these companies, winning all these titles, and then not doing the favor back and losing these titles. It'll probably be like a trip, like multi tag team matches and stuff where the Hardys don't get pinned, obviously. But I don't see them just mailing the titles back.
Okay, all right. And for the third count, obviously I said that we would get back to the Royal Rumble. Randy Orton won the Royal Rumble.
Hold on, you didn't say what you... Hold on, Zane. You didn't say what you thought about the Hardys winning all these titles and stuff. What do you think?
I think it's awesome. I think, as you said, it's great exposure for a lot of the smaller promotions. I can't wait till they start airing some of the matches on Impact Wrestling so we can see what the production value looks like, to see how it all turns out, see if the commentary puts over the local guys. If the commentary is just shitting on all the local people, then it'll be for nothing. But if they're good competitive matches and commentary makes everybody look like a star, I think it'll be awesome. As far as the question I asked about if they would go around and put other people over, I kind of doubt it. I think that would just be kind of a sad tour where that they're going to go around and drop the belts off, drop the belts to people. So I just don't see them actually doing that. And I don't think it's a part of doing business or not doing business, doing the favors back to those people. I just think that if they have return bouts, it's going to be a foregone conclusion. And I don't know. It'll just be a sad scene to see them going to all these different promotions for a couple months and dropping the belts. I don't think it's bad for them. I just don't see them doing that. So, count three. Randy Orton won the 2017 Royal Rumble match. You had already mentioned Ty Dillinger coming out at number 10. That was the only really big shock, for the Royal Rumble, which I thought it was awesome. It wasn't a huge shock because even my 8 and 10-year-old kids were hoping to see him there at the 10 spot. No real big returns, no legends coming back for it. What did you think about the Royal Rumble match overall?
I was really disappointed. So I understand they was making the Royal Rumble actually competitive and stuff, and it was a couple of big things. They had all of the New Day in the Royal Rumble and the entire Wyatt family and everything, and they was trying to advance stories with Goldberg and Goldberg and Taker and Lesnar, and you have Braun Strowman in there, and I understand that. And Randy Orton and Roman Reigns and everybody in the match. I understand that. But one of the biggest draws and one of the biggest reasons why people watch the Royal Rumble, especially nowadays, is to see the surprise guest, to see which WWE legend is going to make a surprise entrance in the Royal Rumble. Who's going to come out? To see, who's debuting in the Royal Rumble. Like we mentioned before several times, it was really cool that Ty Dillinger made his debut and stuff in the main roster at number 10. Does that mean that they're going to keep him on the main roster? Probably not. It's probably just a one-time thing because he's so hot in NXT. like you said, even your 8-year-old was like, okay, number 10 has to be this guy. If it's not, then they've totally screwed the pooch. But I was seriously disappointed that no former, WWE legend, superstar, whatever, made an appearance in the Royal Rumble. None of the NXT coach, none of the developmental coaches, nobody made an appearance at the Royal Rumble. Like, that was my biggest disappointment. All of the matches were very good, were very solid and stuff, but as far as the actual Rumble goes itself, I was seriously disappointed.
Well, I think that they're actually saving some of those. They did this past year for the Battle Royal, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. They had Tatanka come out for that. They had Shaq come out for that. So I think they might be saving some of those big names or surprise people for WrestleMania. I think with the brand split, I liked that they had so many of their guys that are there week in and week out, but we might not necessarily see unless we go to a house show. Guys like Mark Henry came out. I thought that was good. You mentioned the New Day. I loved, with the brand split, that when the New Day were in there, when Xavier Woods was in there with Bray Wyatt, it was a callback to that look that he gave him when they were feuding. I thought that there were a couple different subtle little things that were good about that. I loved Baron Corbin coming in and eliminating Braun Strowman because they're kind of on parallels, although Braun Strowman is more of a main eventer than Corbin is right now. But I loved how it helped to elevate him. I thought it was odd that they had just one SmackDown match on the main card. They had a couple. No, they only had one. They had one on the pre-show, the six women tag team match, and then they had Cena and Styles, which obviously I thought was the best match of the night. But all the other matches were Raw exclusive matches, other than the Rumble. But then, Randy Orton from SmackDown ended up winning it, so it made things kind of even. But, I would have also liked to seen maybe the Club, who are the new tag team champions, maybe come out and help AJ, or at least attempt to help them out, since they don't see each other anymore, and they're, obviously connected. So, there were a couple little things that I thought that they could have done better, but I really did think that it was a really good Royal Rumble match. I loved them having Roman Reigns come out, even though he got hit with brass knuckles and kicked out earlier in the night. But him coming out and attempting to sell that he was hurt, but still going in and taking the Undertaker out right away. That was, I don't care if they're trying to say that he's still a face and he sells lots of merchandise, they book him as a heel. And I think that that's great. I think it's similar to what they've done with Cena over the last couple of years, where they know that they're polarizing figures, so they're booking them fairly successfully both ways. So I thought that there were I think whoever put the order together did a really good job. I know that Killer Kev didn't like that there were a bunch of big stars that were odds-on favorites coming out, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.
No. I don't like it. I didn't like it that so many of the big men went out so quickly.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to Mark Henry versus Big Show versus Baron Corbin, and they got dumped quick.
But I did like how they had some of the smaller guys like Jericho, Sami Zayn were in the match fairly early, and they were the workhorses of that match and stayed in till pretty close to the end. I think whoever put together the order did a really good job, so that way you could see a face-off between Lesnar and Goldberg. You could see a face-off between Goldberg and Undertaker. You could see that Undertaker-Roman Reigns face-off. So that sets up a bunch of different things going into WrestleMania season of really good potential matchups. You have any further thoughts there, Will Huckabee?
See, I'm going to rebut to what you said earlier and stuff, that maybe they're saving a lot of those surprise guests for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. In my opinion, and it might just be my opinion, WrestleMania is the granddaddy of them all. To quote WWE countless times and stuff. Let WrestleMania be your serious show because that's what people want. They want the good matches. They want the 5-star classics, et cetera, et cetera. They want the WrestleMania moments on that weekend. Royal Rumble is, in my opinion, like, hey, thanks for fucking watching us for the last year. Here's something just to make you guys happy. In my opinion, the Royal Rumble is not a quote-unquote super serious pay-per-view. Yes, it starts the road to WrestleMania, but that's the time when you want to, give something back to the fans. Hey, guys, look, you got a Royal Rumble big wiggle from Norman Smiley, or, we bought out Steve Corino, or, hey, we brought back Vader, or Lita, or whoever the case may be. Bring back Mark Mero or whatever. I feel like you do that stuff at the Royal Rumble. And then WrestleMania, you get serious. All right, now it's time to get down to brass tacks. If they're saving all of these stars for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, I really feel like they're kind of doing it at the wrong time. I think that the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal is for the younger talent, like how they did with Baron Corbin. Give the younger talent that little nudge, that little nod, or whatever. Say, all right, we're starting to have faith in you. We're going to bring you up to the main roster. See what you can do for the next year. Am I the only one who was really disappointed that Roman Reigns came out at number 30?
No,
or was it myself along with the rest of the indie wrestling community, the rest of the smart marks that were like, oh God, fucking Roman Reigns, really?
For what they needed to accomplish, I thought it was pretty brilliant. Because they want to set up, I'm fairly sure about this, Roman Reigns versus Undertaker for WrestleMania. And that was a great way to do it, to have him come out and eliminate Undertaker, show the big dog in the yard that there's a new big dog. Would I have rather seen somebody like Nakamura come in, or Finn Balor, or Samoa Joe, which we'll talk about later? Would I have rather seen that? Yes, of course. But that's not the story that they're pushing to us right now. They're trying to get us set up for WrestleMania, and if they don't have Samoa Joe in the main event at WrestleMania, then why bring him out for Royal Rumble? If they don't think that Finn Balor is going to main event WrestleMania, why bring him out at that point? Because if number 30 was somebody that was debuting, that they wanted to make a big deal about, and they didn't win, then it would have been for naught, because they had the perfect opportunity to win that if they came in at number 30. With Roman Reigns, to me, him already being that match earlier in the night where he got pummeled, then they have a good out for him not being able to win. He was already in a big-time match earlier that night. With somebody like Finn Balor, they really have no excuses. They were the last man in. They should have been able to survive 10 minutes. That's my thoughts. What were yours?
Like I said, me myself, when Roman Reigns came out, I think me along with the rest of the IWC let out a collective groan. I've seen reaction videos to when Roman Reigns came out. My reaction was basically saying like, oh God, no. Like, why? Like, why? Just, there's no words like, oh God, like all the other guys that you have on this roster. Like, why this guy again? Like, get him off of my TV. Like, Jesus. Now listening to you, I guess, yeah, it makes sense. Me, myself, I'm particularly not fond of a Roman Reigns Undertaker match at WrestleMania. Hopefully that's not what they're going to do. I just don't see that being a really good match. It's going to be a solid match, but it's not going to be the match that it's not going to have the same hype as the WrestleMania matches, the Undertaker matches that we've seen in the last 5-6 years. Especially, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, CM Punk, Goldberg. Not Goldberg, but Lesnar. It's not going to have that same. Now, if you want Undertaker to go out as a babyface, then yes, because the fans are going to shit all over Roman Reigns if he faces Taker. Like, there's not going to be any 50-50 split crowd and stuff like, we've kind of used to. It's going to be all Taker, the hell with Roman Reigns.
Well, I think that they get that every WrestleMania with Roman Reigns. Because it's all, smart marks, a lot of smart marks there. So last year, Triple H was definitely a heel, but he got cheered way more than Roman Reigns. I don't know. I don't know if they will turn Roman Reigns completely heel, but he'll definitely be doing some shortcuts to take it to Undertaker. But they haven't even set that match yet. I guess we can wait a few weeks to talk further about that. All right, are we ready to give our guest a call?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest for tonight is a esteemed veteran, not only in the North Carolina wrestling indie area, but also just the Mid-Atlantic period. A former multi-time tag team champion, the longest reigning Coastal Real Extreme Wrestling champion, and right now the current NWA Mid-Atlantic North Carolina champion, the dirtiest player in North Carolina, Vinnie Zane.
Yes, that's almost correct. Almost. You got it. Unfortunately, one of my partners in crime, D.A. Assassin, he passed that mark. I'm probably like third on the list for the longest crew champion, behind the current.
We're not going to count. I said we're not going to count D.A. Assassin because he only showed up like 6 times in like 18 months. So
yeah. So okay, but that still puts me third behind the current NWA national champion, Damian Wayne. So one record I couldn't break. So yeah, man, I'm glad to be here. I appreciate you having me.
Well, for all of our listeners and fans who are not familiar with you and stuff, give us a brief synopsis of how you got into the business, who introduced you to the business and stuff, and why you wanted to become a professional wrestler.
Well, I grew up on that 80s wrestling, man. One of my earliest memories ever is Ric Flair on TV. Woo! Right, my brother right there imitating him. And, that was back, I can't say, 1972, 73 maybe. I mean, I was like infantile. I was a little baby. My brother kept me watching wrestling my whole life, and then when my brothers were older, and I grew up basically on NWA Mid-Atlantic, NWA Georgia, Florida Championship Wrestling, all the old school NWA. I grew up in Eastern North Carolina, and what we had was live from WRAL Studios in Raleigh, and that was mainly Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, and that's what I grew up on. And then, of course, came Vince and Saturday Morning Superstars, and, the whole gimmick era of the 80s. I was hooked. And I met my former partner, Vax. Before we got into wrestling, we were just fans, and we were all into that WCW Nitro thing. We had our Nitro party like everybody else was doing. And believe it or not, now this is going to sound really corny, but we had talked about finding a way to get into wrestling. It was always looking at each other, man, if I could just get in, find a way. And I was looking for a car, and I was looking into Carolina Bargain Trader of God all places, and I saw an ad, trained to be a professional wrestler. And that's how I met Viper. And Viper trained me and Vax and a whole lot of other guys, Trailer Park Heat, and most of the guys that he trained that were in our class, we started in a class of more than 12, and finally ended up, there was only me, Vax, Trailer Park Heat, and that was about it that finally graduated. And I've been in it for, just this month makes 19 years. So I'm just having my anniversary. Cut my teeth all over Eastern North Carolina, Rocky Mount, Goldsboro, Wilson. I wrestled in Virginia, Tennessee, South Carolina. So, yeah, but I've concentrated a lot in Eastern North Carolina. Wow, 19 years. I hadn't even thought about it.
Well, me, myself, when I met you, was a part of a tag team called the Brothers Grimm with, like you said, your friend Vax and stuff. And I consider you more of a tag team specialist. But I'm going to go ahead and ask you, over 19 years, which did you prefer better? Did you prefer to be a tag team wrestler? Did you prefer to be a singles wrestler? And why?
Wow. I couldn't say one or the other. I'd say it was both. It was, for a while there, it was singles, and then me and Bax formed the tag, and we basically held tag titles in just about every organization we worked for. And then we worked the whole thing just like all tag teams. They eventually have a blow-up. They split up. I got a big head. I got a big ego. I wanted more. So, and I was more willing to do the dirty deeds when it comes to winning a match. Vax, he'd break a guy's back. He'd eye poke him when the ref won't looking, and that was about the extent of how he would cheat. I'm the guy, I'd hide brass knuckles. I'd punch you. I'd choke the crap out of you with a chain. I'd do whatever. And he really didn't agree with some of my cheating techniques. And there were a couple of times, I can't say on air what I did during the match to cheat real bad, but he didn't really approve of that either. So, we had our differences, and then we had a blow-up, and that's how I won my first singles title. It was a company championship, world championship, if you want to call it that. And I don't really call it world championship, I call it company championship. Until that time, I had only won some hardcore titles, cruiserweight titles, stuff like that. So the answer is, it's depending on what I was doing, that's what I was loving. It was wrestling, so that's all that mattered.
Well, I got a bunch of questions about a lot of current events and things going on and stuff, especially around you and the NWA. But before I get to that, I'm going to pass it along to the bearded wonder, my friend Das Van der Beard, Zane Paisley. Zane, what do you have for our guest tonight?
Well, first off, I want to thank Vinnie Vane for coming on here onto the Wrestling Nerdcast on the Angry Marks Podcast Network. What does the National Wrestling Alliance mean to you today?
What does it mean to me today?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It means being a part of something bigger than myself, which is actually what I grew up wrestling. Like I told you earlier, I grew up on NWA. That was it. That's what we had here when I was a kid. So for being part of the NWA, it's, respect, tradition, heritage. I could use all of those words to describe it. I mean, I'm actually really honored and blessed to be a part of something that has been around since 1948.
Does it also give you opportunities to get some outside talent, to do talent exchange too?
Yes, it does. It really opens me up to a lot more networks, for lack of a better word. Currently, we have a show coming up this weekend, February 4th at the National Guard Armory in Nashville, North Carolina. We're actually bringing in the guy that beat Will Huckabee for the title, the current Continental Champion for the NWA, Bad Blood. He'll be here this weekend, so it's allowed us to exchange talent with NWA BCW, Blue Collar Wrestling out of Portland. We're also in negotiations with Florida, Pennsylvania. I mean, it's opened up a whole lot more than just, talking to local guys from here in East North Carolina, this side of Raleigh, maybe Greensboro and southern parts of Virginia and the Tidewater region.
Well, yeah, I think that Bad Blood is probably, the longest reigning NWA Continental Champion now? Is that right, Will?
No, he's not. He is still behind Will, and Will is still behind Mike Booth at number 2, and then Mark Rivera at number 1. Now,
I was just trying to rib Will a little bit, but he didn't fall for it. No, Bad Blood is awesome. You guys are lucky to have him on the show. It would be nice if one of your guys were able to take back the Continental Championship and keep it in North Carolina, but I know he's been doing a great job defending it. He's defended that championship all over, obviously, the Pacific Northwest, Texas, here in my home state, Indiana. So I know he's done a great job with that title.
Oh, yeah, he's done a lot more than that. He's taken it to California. He's taken it to Nevada. He's taken it, when he first got it, he took it to Germany, which, to me, that gave that title, since its name is Continental, a little bit more legitimacy. He took it over to the European continent. I don't know much about his schedule. I heard some talks about him going to Puerto Rico soon. I'm not sure about that, but he's coming to North Carolina. He's been to Georgia. I mean, I would say that Bad Blood hasn't held it the longest, but I think he's probably carried it to, don't quote me, I could be wrong, because Bravura did take it a lot of places. I think he's taken it to more places besides the United States than anyone else. I believe him and Will are probably neck and neck for probably the amount of states they have taken it to.
So you do have a big show coming up this Saturday, February 4th. It's called Fallout. It's at the National Guard Armory in Nashville, North Carolina. You know, you're scheduled to appear there. Obviously, Bad Blood, who we just talked about, the NWA Mid-Atlantic Junior Heavyweight Champion Nemesis, and you got a big tag team match, Team High DF versus the Airtime Rockers. For a fan that has never been to an NWA Mid-Atlantic event, what can they expect?
Well, what they're going to expect is not what's on TV. Okay, we're hard hitting. We have prided ourselves on being family friendly and pushing that 80s style wrestling, real wrestling, not this other stuff that they're doing now. We've had mixed reviews to it. Some fans like it, some fans don't. That's how it is. But I believe that starting here with the move back to Nashville from where they started, they're probably going to move to a little more edgy, pushing that envelope, going to let the guys a little more loose, give them a little more free reign, not kind of keep them confined. And once you do that, I'm not saying you're going to have an attitude era, because nobody can ever do an attitude, but you're going to have something where a company progresses from one stage to another. And I'm hoping it's going to be some real magic that these guys produce this weekend.
So if someone's never been to NWA Mid-Atlantic show, this is definitely the time to check it out, because big things are happening.
Yes, the changes are coming. Unfortunately, Bad Blood picked the time that he knew that Will Huckabee was not going to be in the building to make his title defense. Will and I have talked about that. Will and I are, we don't see eye to eye. We've butted heads, and we stood across from each other in the ring. But when it comes to that Continental title and bringing that thing back home, I believe that Bad Blood was always scared. And I told Bad Blood on the internet several times, where a lot of people could see through social media, he can walk across Skyline Drive, but he's going to limp back to damn Portland. One where he screwed Will Huckabee. He pretended like he didn't know what was going on, and those guys interfered in the match. He got Will there, got him alone, screwed him, took the title. He knows when he comes to North Carolina, he's going to catch an ass whooping Carolina style. Doesn't matter who it is, whether it's Will Huckabee, whether it's D.A. Assassin, whether I have to break out brass nuts and ram one upside his head.
Well, I'm going to blame the referee in that match at Blue Collar Wrestling, that sign guy. He seems kind of shady. On that note, I am going to kick it back over to the incredible Huck, Will Huckabee.
I thank you. I've always wanted to be on a podcast with you and hear you say those words. I've been waiting for this for like 2 or 3 years now.
Thank you.
So, what do you say, Will? Here's what we do. You and I put our heads together. We get that Continental title back here in Carolina where it belongs. Yes. And then me and you get a match. What do you say? Once more for old time's sake.
Oh yes, definitely. Okay.
Hey,
so Vane, I'm gonna ask a question. You ready?
Okay, I knew this part of the show was coming. Here we go.
So the NWA has, there's been a lot of changes in the last couple of years and stuff. New president, champions, et cetera, et cetera. Do you think that the NWA has finally found its groove with Bruce Tharpe as the actual president and stuff? Do you actually think that now the NWA is actually starting to find its groove?
Well, yeah. I mean, right now I would compare it to a small baby. It's got to grow. And right now we're still small, still have, regional affiliates. And what's in the works right now, and, Bruce Tharpe's working very hard at it, they need a TV deal. The NWA needs a national TV deal. Once that happens, things are really going to take off. Bruce has got us all working together. We're not bickering amongst each other. He's gone and done his thing in Japan to promote our interests over there. It's up to us here at home to try to make the NWA. In my opinion, it would be impossible because the NWA was the model to be on. It's what we all grew up on. I would just be lucky to recreate some of the magic that was done in the 70s and 80s. Bruce is doing an excellent job at doing that. He's getting us all coordinated. There's just several little things. We're all starting to look alike so that, we're not a bunch of ragtag looking groups. We're all uniform and we're all working together to make this thing work. And Bruce is, people don't agree with Bruce, but everything he does, all right, that's fine. Everybody has their opinion. But he's all about the NWA, and that's what matters. And he's taking care of business. And I believe if we keep going and if he keeps going in this direction and we finally get that national TV deal, things will pick up.
Now, my next question is this, because Nashville, it turns out, is turned into almost like a battleground of sorts. Not only for you, but for another company that we're not going to give, any promotion to because, well, they're not on our show, so the hell with them.
Okay.
As a behind-the-scenes person in the wrestling business and stuff, how do you feel when people start doing the whole "this is our territory" thing? This is our area. This is our territory, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, see, that depends. Okay, let's say I'm running a show in Greenville, North Carolina, monthly, and say Omega or TNA or whatever Global comes through town. I can't get mad at them. Now, if you've got a company who's established and has been running regularly, hasn't taken any time off for an extended period of time or anything like that, no, you shouldn't go run it in somebody's town. The territory system is people say it's dead, but a lot of the old school guys that were trained earlier than the guys coming out now, they don't go in other guys' towns. Back then, you tried something like that, a group of guys would show up and beat the hell out of you. You can't get away with that stuff nowadays except for in the ring, but, it's done out of respect. You don't run in somebody's town. There's another little company over in Havelock, in the Morehead City area. I don't run over there just out of respect for them. I'll give Viper a little plug. He runs a little show in Wilson. I don't run a show in Wilson out of respect for him. If somebody approached me, I'd at least give him a courtesy. Something like that, but running in somebody's town, no, that's not respectful. And, people will accuse me of doing the same thing, but, when you go back, look at all the facts, documented stuff, whatever. I don't want to get into a whole bunch of political stuff over it. I'm not trying to rub anybody wrong, but, if a town is wide open, anybody should go in and try to run it. If a company has shut down, hasn't run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years or something, and then another company comes in and tries to run, you shouldn't get mad about it. And should be happy that wrestling's here. That's what it's for the fans. So, currently you brought it up. There's a little thing going on. We're running the exact same town, the exact same building. This is another company. So all I can say is best of luck to them. We're going to put on our product. They are going to put on theirs. Let the fans decide what they like, and whoever wins at the gate, that's who gets the town at this point. I'm smart enough to know that, if the crowd likes a different type of wrestling, it's time to move on. I know you were expecting me to just open up with both barrels, but I gotta be cool about this.
Okay. Well, then we'll keep it cool, all right? We're going to switch topics. Talking about brands, you're talking about, names and territories and stuff. Started off as NWA Mid-Atlantic, started off as NWA Edge, then it switched to NWA Rage, and now it's the NWA Mid-Atlantic. Why is it so important for you? Why was the name NWA Mid-Atlantic so important to you? Me, myself, and just to give Dane a little backstory, you was really pushing hard to rename the company NWA Mid-Atlantic. What does that name mean to you, and why did you fight so hard for it?
Well, to start with, the old Mid-Atlantic pulled out of NWA in 2012, and somebody else from West Virginia happened to jump in right before Edge and got the name, NWA Mid-Atlantic. And they held on to it, didn't really do anything with it. And I approached the guy about selling it to me, and he suggested we run together and work together. And you can see through posters when things changed, started adding the Mid-Atlantic logo to the Rage posters, and then after Rage 12, that's when the merger took place, and then it just became Mid-Atlantic. And the other guy just disappeared when it came time to renew, and so the name was wide open again, and it meant a lot to me getting that name because I simply told you that earlier. It's what I grew up on live from the studios at WRAL. You know, it was Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, and that's what I grew up on. Ric Flair, the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express, all hail the Road Warriors, Ivan Koloff, that's another story. He beat the hell out of me one time. Ivan Koloff, Nikita Koloff, before his accident, Magnum TA, those are the guys that's what I grew up watching. I mean, I tell you what you do, if you go and Google Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling or Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight title, the first picture you're going to see is Roddy Piper holding that title. And that's what it means to me, is these guys, when I was a little tiny guy growing up, watching them on TV, and now I am blessed and lucky as God, thank you, to be a part of it. I feel like I'm one of the luckiest guys on the planet. I want to continue on. I would be lucky to create some of the magic they created back then, and that's what I want to do, is try to bring back some old wrestling that guys like me loved and they can pass on to their kids, their grandkids, and still like it. I mean, think about it. What do you hear mostly on social media? You get a lot of people knocking what they see on TV. Their only alternative is independent wrestling shows. And there's where I come in, and I want to be a part of that. And that's why I pushed to get the name. And thank you, Bruce Stark, for allowing me. He could have just told me no and said, no, you can stay the other name.
Well, okay, so like now this is the first show. This is the first show back. NWA Mid-Atlantic took a hiatus. In the large part because of the unfortunate shootings in the National Guard Armory in Tennessee. It was very hard for venues, especially for a lot of fans and listeners and stuff. Living in North Carolina, running shows in North Carolina, the majority of indie companies run inside of either the City Rec Center or inside the local National Guard Armory. Due to the tragedy and stuff in Tennessee about a year and a half ago, regulations were changed. Certain rules were put in place that wasn't before, and it just made it very difficult. But now, after the hiatus and stuff, NWA Mid-Atlantic is on its way back and stuff. You're running in Nashville, North Carolina this coming week and stuff. Do you have any plans as far as expanding, running in different cities, running bigger shows? Like you said, you have a great working relationship with other promotions and other affiliates inside the NWA. What are your plans for 2017?
We have 7 shows scheduled in Nashville, one each month, usually the first Saturday. I want to try to build things back. Things were very slow. I want to get a fan base going. Rocky Mount is a hotbed. It always has been. It's, that's the area where I cut my teeth. I had my very first match in Wilson against a guy named Mike Yamaha. It's always been popular. No matter what happened, there was a great show. Used to have a company there when I was cutting my teeth called CCW, Continental, run by a guy named Tom Powell and Piper. And they ran over in Sharpsburg at a little Christian academy. My plans are to go by the NWA contract. And I won't get into specifics, but it's not important. I've got a couple of cities named specifically where I'm allowed to run in a radius of that area. And when you do that radius, it's basically from Raleigh to the coast. So I'm looking to run anywhere, any town that wants to see good quality wrestling from independents where we bring in other company champions from around the NWA, and we throw some of our best guys in there against them and see what's going to happen, make some magic. I'm willing to come to any show. I'm willing to come to any town. I'm willing to come to any school. We'll do fundraisers, and that's something you can contact us through the Mid-Atlantic Facebook page and get details. We'll go to any middle school, any high school, and help your school raise money for their athletics program. We've got in place with Will Huckabee here that anytime we do a charity event, a fundraising event, Will come the day before on a Friday and do an assembly and give an address to the entire student body and talk to them about bullying. And, that's a great thing. And that's part of the whole thing I want to do is make Mid-Atlantic part of the community. I want to run from Raleigh to the coast. That's what I'm allowed to do, and that's what I want to do. I'm not going to limit myself just to one town, but I do want to have a home base where I have my local fans where if it wasn't for them, there would be no wrestling, there would be no me, would be no us. It's all about the fans. So I wanted to do something for them, bring back something special that I grew up on. And that's going to happen slowly. We're going to build it in Nashville, and we're going to work back and forth, I'd say, between Manio and Kill Devil Hills. And I will not go into Raleigh so much because that's somebody else's area, and I'm not stepping on toes. But, I can run Lewisburg, Asheville, Rocky Mount, all the way down the I-64 corridor. We did a show, a benefit show when we were raised. We did one for the after-school program for a elementary school over in Roanoke Rapids. That whole area is just wide open. It's always been great, and I want to give something back to it.
I have a couple more questions. I have like one or two more questions, but before our time runs out, I know that my partner Zane has a couple more questions for you and stuff. So, Zane, what else do you have for Vinnie Vane tonight?
Well, I do want to thank once again the NWA North Carolina champion Vinnie Vane for coming on to the Wrestling Nerdcast on the Angry Marks Podcast Network. Since we are the Wrestling Nerdcast, you know that you know Will personally, so you know how big of a nerd he is. What's something other than pro wrestling that you're nerdy about?
Okay, video games. Definitely, I like to play my video games like any other man. I'm nerdy about Carolina basketball. I'm nerdy about Cowboys football. And I'm going to tell on Will now, I'm nerdy about dance music and dancing. I've got some actual pictures of Will dancing to Michael Jackson.
Hey, he is a great dancer for a big guy like that. He can cut a run.
He is. He is definitely a smooth criminal. Yeah.
Bring up me, all right,
Annie.
And I'm nerdy about my best friend in the whole world, my dog, my boxer.
Oh, very nice.
He's a 5-year-old boxer named Storm.
Oh, very nice, very nice. How can our listeners follow you and follow the NWA Mid-Atlantic Territory?
Well, you can follow me simply by going to the Facebook page and looking up Vinnie Vane. There's a couple of copycats, but you'll know the real me when you see this pretty face. And then the same thing, simply go to Facebook and go to the NWA Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling LLC page and just click like. You know how Facebook works.
For Vinnie Vane, it's VINNIE VAIN. So don't misspell it. Don't spell it with a Y. It's VINNIE VAIN.
That's correct. I appreciate that. I appreciate you having me on the podcast. I really do.
Oh, well, we appreciate you coming on. Now, earlier you said that NWA Mid-Atlantic, your show coming up this weekend, Saturday, February 4th, Nashville, North Carolina at the National Guard Armory, headlined by the NWA Continental Champion Bad Blood. You had said that it's not like TV wrestling. Can you explain to our listeners what the difference between an NWA hard-hitting event versus what they might see on national TV every week is?
Well, you you got me. You got me there. I'm a little old school, a little tight-lipped on things, but I'm just going to say that when you are inside of a small building like an armory or a gymnasium or a high school gymnasium, and you are that confined, you're not in a large coliseum and you're dozens and dozens of feet away. You have fans who are less than 10 feet away from the ring sometimes. And if you do something that is not kosher, they will call you out fast. And the best thing I can do is liken it to what's being called now is strong style. When we hit hard, and it's not gonna be one of those things where I'm playing to a camera. We're not playing to a camera. We're playing to fans right there who want to see wrestling. They want to see hard hitting action. I mean, don't get me wrong. Fans aren't stupid. They know what's up. But you know, there's a saying that DDP was real popular at putting out there. You know, on the indie circuit, they can get real fast. And Will knows what Will. You know, you get in there with a guy who either doesn't like you and he busts you in the mouth. You got to bust him back or stand there and take an ass whooping in front of 300, 400 people. I mean, that's the difference. In WWE, forgive me, they get mad, they go in the locker room and beat each other up. Well, in the indies, we get out in the ring and beat each other up. It's just a lot more hard hitting. A lot harder. I mean, look at Will Huckabee. He's a lot bigger than I am. He's knocked the hell out of me a few times. And I'm gonna tell you what, it took everything I had to get back up.
Well, I think that Will has introduced me to the term Southern Strong Style. So would that be an accurate description of the action at NWA Mid-Atlantic?
Yes, because that's what Will cut his teeth on, guys like me kicking his ass when he got into wrestling. And that's what he knows, so he goes out there and he kicks ass every week. We butt heads, but I'm kind of proud of him. He leaves bodies on the floor when he leaves the ring. The Rock has this little saying, boots to asses. And I had a match with Will where he sat me in a chair and basically put boot to face. And we had a very good photographer at the time who got a good picture of it. I'm sure Will will post this pretty soon. And it's got the caption, boot to faces. And he's really putting that size 11 upside my noggin. So, yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking WWE at all. And none of the guys there, because they're all, probably everybody there kicked my ass. But I just feel like that we hit harder.
Well, I gotta let you know some names around my area that are in the NWA that you need to keep your eyes open. So if you can ever book these guys, big happy birthday to our brother Drew Skills. It's his birthday today. He had a great match with the at the time the NWA World Heavyweight Champion Jack Stane. Took each other to the limit. Had a great match. Another guy around here, Joseph Schwartz. He's the U.S. champion for NWA Circle City Wrestling. And also check out Josh Lewis, big time Josh Lewis that we had on the show a couple weeks ago. He's the NWA Supreme U.S. champion, and I believe he's also still currently the NWA Mid-Atlantic champion. So if you get a chance to book any of those guys, definitely take advantage.
The current Mid-Atlantic championship is vacant.
No, Mid-America. Mid-America.
There you go.
I'm sorry. You go. I might have misspoke.
I will throw one little thing in there I forgot to mention earlier when you mentioned the world title. There is talk for 2017, maybe the summer, maybe we're talking bringing the current NWA World Heavyweight Champion Tim Storm, possibly getting him to North Carolina, and your boy Will Huckabee's going to get his shot.
Oh, that would be amazing. I'd have to fly down for that. That'd be great.
Well, yeah, it's in the talks.
Okay,
we're trying to make it happen for him.
When that match gets booked, I want you to come back on and talk with us. Okay, Vinnie?
I will. As soon as we get it inked, I will Of course, your partner Will's going to tell you. He's going to be dancing.
Oh, he's pretty humble on here, so he might not mention it till the week of. So, all right. On that note, thank you, Vinny. I'm going to pass it back over to the incredible Huck Will Huckabee.
What do you say, Huckster? You like that good news?
Oh, man, I love that good news. I'm always, being the big dog in the Mid-Atlantic and stuff, if the world champion is going to ever make a presence in North Carolina, he's going to definitely have to come through me. The road through North Carolina goes through the incredible Huck.
Yeah, I hear you. Well,
let's get back to actually Vinnie Vane the wrestler. 19 years in wrestling and stuff. And you've seen so much, you've done so much and stuff. What's next for Vinnie Vane? Wrestler, promoter, trainer. What's next? What's the future hold for Vinnie Vane?
Well, let's be honest. 19 years. I'm not getting any younger, so I feel like my wrestling career is starting to slow down. In my mind, I've got tons of gas left in the tank, but the old body's telling me, this is starting to be for the younger guys. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not done yet. My career's not over. I haven't announced. This is not my retirement year. I haven't announced that yet. I've still got something left. I'm still going to put some challenges out there and try to get a little more nationally known rather than, state and regional. But yes, my career is starting to get slower. And during this time, I'm going to slowly transition over to full-time promoter, where right now I am full-time promoting, but I still feel like I'm part-time promoting because I'm not running a show every town, every weekend, all over North Carolina, Virginia, and stuff like the old Mid-Atlantic did. I'm currently just in eastern North Carolina. So, yeah, I'll be transitioning over to full-time promoter slowly, and, my ring time will slow down and get to where I probably will go to part-time again and then eventually just retire because, I'm not getting any younger, like I said. It is a young guy's game now. I don't want to be, no offense, one of those guys who's 170 years old out there in the ring still working. Training, well, I haven't trained anybody in a long time. One of the last guys that I trained that was actually completed his training like he should have and, took care of his responsibility and then went out and tried to make a name for himself. The last guy I had was Rex Sterling. I mean, there's been a couple folks in between that, they either didn't make the tryout or after a few weeks kind of fizzled. But training, maybe. I'm not going to rule out anything. I'm going to not. In this business, you learn to say never, even when you really want to say never. And I just want to make Mid-Atlantic as close to as possible as what it is. The great thing it used to be and make magic. That's it. I'm going to wrestle until I can't wrestle no more, and then I'm going to be a promoter until they put me in a box. Ric Flair was famous for saying something, and I'm pretty much the same way. I either want to go, when I go out, I want to go out in the middle of the ring or on top of a wild woman. I'd rather be in the ring, but I'll take either one.
Well, Vane, thank you once again for being a guest of the show. For all my listeners, once again, this Saturday, Nashville, North Carolina, the National Guard Armory. What time is bell time again, Vane?
The doors open 6:30, so fans can come in, get good seats, maybe do a little meet and greet. And bell time is 7:30. We usually try to have a decent show. We keep it nice and packed, 2 hours or so, 2.5 hours. We don't want fans to go home weary and tired. I have been in shows where they lasted a little long. But bell time 7:30. Got a great card lined up. Unfortunately, you won't be there. But Bad Blood's going to be there. Mid-Atlantic Junior Heavyweight Champion Nemesis is going to be there. Of course, I'm going to be there. The East Coast versus West Coast rivalry that we started when you went out to Portland is rekindled. We're bringing in Team High Def from Cali to take on from Blue Collar Wrestling up in Portland to take on our representative, which is going to be the Airtown Rockers. Couple young guys up and coming. They're real hungry. We're going to see how this match goes, and probably the winner is going to go on to meet the Old School Empire, and the winner of that match will face the current NWA Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Champions. Sound and the Fury, Will Huckabee and Joe Black. If we can get you guys to get along just long enough to defend the titles. You know, I understand you guys are upset. We're going to get you guys in the Mid-Atlantic to defend the titles, Will, or what?
Oh, we're not worried about anybody trying to get our tag team titles. Trust that. Old School Empire, Portland, I don't care who it is, man. We'll beat the piss out of anybody.
Can I quote you on that?
Anyway, Dane, huh?
I said, can I quote you on that?
Yes, you can quote me on that. We'll beat the piss out of anybody. Anyway, Vane, thanks for being a guest on the show, man. Me, myself, personally, I'll call you later on tomorrow, probably later on tonight when the show's over with and stuff. I'm going to give you a call, and we can talk business and other things and stuff. But on behalf of the rest of the Nerdcast, thanks for being a guest on our show. Hopefully, like I said, once you cross the T's and dot the I's for the NWA World Champion Tim Storm to come to North Carolina, we have you back as a guest on the show to talk about that. What do you think?
I'm down, man. I'm down. I appreciate you guys having me.
All right. Thank you. We'll talk to you later.
Okay, man. Goodbye.
All right. Well, that was an interesting conversation with Vinnie Vane. I liked how you guys kind of stepped around a little bit, but did talk about running other towns and kind of the controversies that run along with that. Gives an insight to our listeners about how those things work.
Yes, man. Like, Vinnie Vane's such a cool guy. He has so much, so much drive, so much dedication. He's a great asset to not only professional wrestling, but also the National Wrestling Alliance and stuff, man. So, I thought it was a great interview, Zane.
Yeah, that was great. All right. The big question of the week is Samoa Joe made his WWE main roster debut on Raw, as kind of an enforcer for Triple H against Seth Rollins. What did you think of Samoa Joe's debut on Raw last night?
Man, you know what? With Samoa Joe and stuff, man. I think that, it's going to show, I think this will be a chance to see a Samoa Joe of old, when he first got to TNA and he had the towel covered in blood on his shoulder and stuff. I think that the Samoa Joe that people have been dying to see for years, like, this is their chance to see that Samoa Joe. I think that Triple H, when it comes to professional wrestling, and even more now, we see that Triple H has a very good knack for putting the right guy in the right place at the right time and stuff. And I think that, once again, he's not going to disappoint us with Samoa Joe.
Yeah, I thought the debut was impressive. I liked the storyline. I really liked Triple H's promo, even though it was a little long. But he went over, how he's tried to avoid Seth Rollins. Then Seth Rollins came into NXT and called him out on NXT, and that's kind of hollow ground right there. You don't come and mess with NXT. And then the promo that Rollins did on Raw with Stephanie McMahon, where he mentioned that he might just go to their house and knock on the door, and it'd be awful if one of their daughters answered the door. You don't mess with people's kids. That's just a no-no. So Rollins is supposed to be the face in this, but really he did a bunch of heel things. I liked Triple H saying that he didn't want to get involved with it, and he was building new people at NXT, and then having an NXT guy who, Triple H did not build Samoa Joe, but he's associated with him now. I liked it all. I liked the beatdown. The only thing that I wish was a little different, I hated Samoa Joe's outfit. I hated the jeans and t-shirt. I thought it looked awful. He looks so much tougher when he's in regular gear. And I understand that, he just came in off the street to do Triple H's bidding, but it would have been a bigger impact, I think, to casual fans. Maybe the first time seeing Samoa Joe if he had worn his gear. But that's one small nitpicky thing that I disliked. But overall, I thought it was great. Where do you think that Joe is going to go from here? Do you think that he's going to work a WrestleMania program with Seth Rollins, or do you think it'll be Triple H and Seth Rollins at Mania?
I think that it's going to end up being Seth Rollins versus Triple H. Mainly for the fact of the way that they brought Joe up to the roster. You know, they didn't. There was no in-ring debut. There was no like, oh man, look at Joe. He's coming in and squashing somebody or interfering in the match. Like, he came in and got in Rollins' face and stuff, man, and made his intentions clear and stuff. That you don't mess with the boss, and if you want to touch the boss, you got to go through me and stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Samoa Joe in the actual wrestling ring until WrestleMania.
Okay, so do you think that it'll be Triple H versus Rollins or Samoa Joe versus Rollins?
I'm definitely going to go with Samoa Joe versus Seth Rollins.
Okay, I agree with that. I at least that's what I hope will happen. I hope that Samoa Joe gets a big WrestleMania match out of this whole thing. Either way, he's doing way better than what he would be doing somewhere else right now. So I'm happy for him. 17 years in the making, and finally making his WWE Raw debut. Good thing for him, and really shows to people that you can work hard for a long time and get bigger and better success on and on. So I thought it was great, and not that you have to go to WWE to be a success, but just I'm very happy for Samoa Joe. All right, this weekend I will be returning to Intense Championship Wrestling in Marion, Indiana, Saturday, February 4th. Bell time is 7 p.m. Doors open at 6 p.m. Excited, I get to announce again, and it'll be our buddy, the franchise Troy Miller, will be returning to the ring after probably 6 months absence. So I'm excited to see him again in action. Should be a great show in Marion, Indiana on Saturday, February 4th. What do you got coming up this weekend?
Well, since you already brought it up, this is probably the best weekend of the year. This is the Will Huckabee birthday weekend. And what better way to celebrate than by beating up people inside of the wrestling ring? Friday, I will be in Marmet, West Virginia for Mega Championship Wrestling. Finally supposed to be taking on the Mega Championship champion, Eric Darkstorm, for the Mega Heavyweight Championship. And then Saturday, I will be defending my WVCW Heavyweight Championship against probably one of the biggest opponents I've ever had in my life, Aaron Biggs, big 400-pound guy. You can see him, killing people every week on the CWF Mid-Atlantic show on YouTube. This guy's tearing up the Carolinas. He's seen the AML, WrestleCade, like I say, he's making his mark and stuff in West Virginia. But it's me and the big man and stuff in Princeton, North Carolina at the Salvation Army Gym in Princeton, West Virginia this Saturday night. And then Sunday, I'm back home and stuff, ready to watch the Atlanta Falcons beat the piss out of Tom Brady and those fuck-ass Patriots.
All right, our awesome producer, Killer Kev. Do you have a Super Bowl prediction and anything that you want to plug?
I want to plug me because for the first time ever in the history of Angry Marks, I won the Royal Rumble pool.
Oh, good for you.
I drew number 23. So
I wasn't invited to the pool this year.
Yeah, well, we put your name in along with Will's as combined hosts of the Wrestling Nerdcast.
And we didn't win?
You guys didn't win.
What number were we?
I think number 18.
Oh, close enough. Close enough.
Oh, I was shocked when I usually get put in these, I usually end up with either a really low number or a really high number that is just not going to win to begin with, and then it's usually some scrub that is definitely not going to win. So when Randy Orton came out, I thought to myself, oh wow, I might actually have a chance to win this. And then I did.
I was in a pool that there were 9 of us all together, each threw in $10. So each of us got 3 picks, and a couple people, the first 3 people that paid got an extra pick. So when I was given my list, I was given that I had got number 4, number 13, and number 22, or excuse me, number 23. And so when they started, after everybody came out, they'd say who you got. So after number 22, who was Apollo Crews, came out, Zane, you've got Apollo Crews. I was like, no, he's 22, I've got 23. Because I knew Apollo Crews wasn't going to win. And they're like, oh, we messed up. You should have had 22, and we put 2 number 23s. So you get number 22, and the next person gets 23.
Ah.
The next person out was Randy Orton, who I knew was going to win. So, and by the way, I do want to apologize to all of our listeners. I believe that if they were betting odds of all my picks last week, I think only 1 or 2 of my picks came true out of all of NXT and Royal Rumble, so I apologize. I was way off on all those. So, all right, do you have a pick for the Super Bowl?
Well, my pick is always whoever is playing against the Patriots, but I feel really good. I think the Falcons can give the Patriots the game that not only they deserve, but the ass beating they deserve. So yeah, no love for Brady here.
Okay, I'm gonna score the trifecta. I'm picking the Falcons